Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. So I started reading again about a year and a half ago, and I would say during that time I've read a good few popular books. So I thought today's video could be would I recommend these popular books and do I think they are worth the hype? Now, I don't want to be really negative on this channel, but I am going to give you my honest opinion, and if there is a book that I personally wouldn't recommend and didn't like, I would also explain to you why it might work for you and why it just didn't work for me. And I would say romantasy books can be really a hit or miss for me. I don't really like that many popular, or the sound of that many popular books. Like, I would not be interested in like reading ACOTAR, for example, just because it just doesn't sound like my kind of book. But yeah, no, let's get into it. I have a good few books to talk about today. So let's start off strong. One of the most popular, if not the most popular, romantasy book, and it's Fourth Wing. Now, I have read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, and I personally think it's extremely overhyped. Fourth Wing was actually the first romantasy book that I have ever read, and I enjoyed it, right? I really enjoyed it. It was like a whole new world that I never experienced it before, right? And I loved the dragons and I liked the school setting, and I really enjoyed it while I read it. But you know, when you read more and more books, I feel like your opinion just changed about previous books you've read, and that definitely happened for me. And then I read Iron Flame and I hated it. I was so sad. I really did not like Iron Flame. So I think the reason I personally do not like this series and I won't be continuing it is because I didn't like the romance. I didn't like Xaden, and they just both, the whole romance part kind of pissed me off a bit. I love romance in books, right? I love romance, and I love very romantic books, and I think that's what was missing in this series. I felt like it was more lust over love, and I know some people might not agree with me on that, but it's just, especially once I've started reading more books, I have just realized what I do like in romance and what I don't like, and I think Fourth Wing was just what I don't like. And especially in Iron Flame, I didn't like the world building. I felt a bit confused. I didn't really care for the world building either. I just completely lost interest, and I ended up giving that one 2 stars. I think if I would read it now, I probably would have DNF'd it. But yeah, no, that's why I didn't like it. But I'm now going to tell you why you might enjoy it. And I think you can enjoy it if you love dragons. You need to love dragons to like Fourth Wing and the series. I love dragons, but yeah, that's a big part. And school settings, but especially in the second one, I think the world building is not heavy. I have read heavy world building before. Like, one of my favorite books, like 2 of my favorite books, is Riftborn and Shadow of the Gods, and they have heavy world building, and I love it when it's done right. But Fourth Wing, it can be a little bit all over the place, and yeah. But you know what, if you want to just have a good time and just, it's romantasy, it's popular, so I know a lot of people love it, and I'm probably in the minority here, but yeah, I think there's a high chance that you would enjoy these books. And it is a bit of fun, right? It is a bit fun, especially Fourth Wing. I didn't thought Iron Flame was fun, but a lot of people do. But it might be for you if you like the dragons, you like dragon setting, you don't care if it isn't like romantic, but just more lust. If you don't mind that, and if you like Xaden, because I didn't like Xaden, and that ruins the book a bit as well. If you like Xaden, read it. I'm sure you'll like it. It's just, yeah, I'm sad that I didn't like it because everyone loves it except for me. But if you don't really want to read Fourth Wing, but you still want to read something with dragons, kind of a school setting. It's not a school, it's just an academic setting, especially the first one. The second one is not, but you should read A Language of Dragons. I really enjoyed this one. I've read the first 2 books. I don't think the third one is out. I really enjoyed it. There's amazing character development. There's a bit of romance, but it's not as heavy romance as Fourth Wing is. And yeah, I personally really like these books. And then One Dark Window. Right, this is the second romantasy book that I've ever read, And I really enjoyed it at the time. It's the same thing as Fort Wing. I had nothing to compare it to. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. The more I read, the more I realized, no, I didn't like it, especially to this grounds. I remember skimming the pages and just not caring at all. And I still ended up giving it 4 stars because I gave everything a 4 or a 5 stars back then. And now it's so hard to find a 5 stars book because I'm now so picky with my rating. But do I think One Dark Window and that duology deserves the hype? I think it actually does, even though I didn't like it, or looking back on it, even though I didn't like it and I did unhaul them, I do think it deserves the hype. I can understand why someone would enjoy this duology, and I don't know if I would recommend it though. Like, personally, maybe I would recommend it to you, but I can't really explain to you why I didn't like these books. I just think I couldn't connect to these characters and to the story and just to the plot. I just don't think I cared for any of it. And that sometimes just happens for no reason. Sometimes it's the writing or it's just the way the characters are written that you just can't connect to it. And I think that's what happened with me and this duology, which is such a shame. But I do think if you like more of a darker, eerie romantasy, like it's definitely kind of a darker setting, I think you might have a good time with it or you might not. It depends if, you know, the writing style is for you and if you can connect to these characters or not. I can't say that. So it's a maybe for me, but I do think it deserves the hype because, like I said, I can understand why people would enjoy it. Like, it's not badly written at all. So yeah, that's my opinion about this duology. And now a book that I read, I'm pretty sure, like after One Dark Window, and it's The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. Is it taking me months to finish the second book? Yes. It's taking me so long, but I would recommend this book, and I definitely think it does deserve the hype it's getting. And the reason why is I just think this is a amazing, well-written romantasy. I was able to connect to these characters. I was intrigued by this world and by the plot. I just think this is such a nice classic romantasy, but I just thought it was really well done. I would definitely recommend this book. It has vampires in it, it has trials in it, I like the romance in this book as well. And even though it's taking me a long time to finish the second book, I am still enjoying it. I just really like these characters. I really do. And I thought this book was just fun. And I definitely do think it deserves the hype. I ended up giving this one a 5 stars and I still agree with it. I think it's a 5 stars. But I can't give you my whole opinion about the whole duology because I've never finished the second one. And if you're not familiar with the story, I know it's about this human girl and her adopted father is a vampire and he is the vampire king. And because he's a human, you know, vampires see her as a prey. And the only way for people not to see her as a prey anymore is to kind of join this tournament. But, you know, this tournament, she is going against all these vampires and she's a human, so that's definitely a disadvantage. And she's forced to make an alliance with this mysterious rival. You know, he is a ruthless vampire, so yeah, it's just fun. And I like the trials in here. And now a YA romantasy, and it's Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. I'm pretty sure it's called The Letter of Enchantment duology, and this is by Rebecca Ross. Now, this for me, I think it deserves the hype, right? It's beautifully written, and would I recommend it? I'm not sure. It's a maybe. I really enjoyed Divine Rivals, but it took me so long to get into it and so long to connect to these characters. Now, I do think the characters were great. The romance is great. It's very romantic, and the story is unique. I really thought it was unique. I loved it. But then I read Ruthless Vows and it took me months to finish it because I was so bored. And I just started getting disconnected from these characters, which was such a shame. And so it's a maybe. I did have to unhaul these books. It's about these two gods who are, I think, warring again. then it's about this girl, and her brother had to go to the front line, and she is a journalist, right? But she's like writing these letters, and she's putting it in a wardrobe, in like a closet, and every time she closes the door, the letter disappears. And she's writing these letters to her brother, so she thinks she's writing her brother. It actually ended up in the hands of her rival, who works at the same place as her. She kind of gets in the midst of this war as well, and with a magical typewriter. I really like the idea of this book. I really like the concept. I would never reread it again. And was expecting more of it. I wasn't expecting to be that bored of these books because the concept sounded so interesting, which is kind of disappointing. But you know, I do think it deserves the hype because I think Rebecca Ross writing is fantastic, and I know a lot of people do love it. And it's again just a matter of fact if you would connect to the story or not. But yeah, sadly, it was just kind of a mid book for me. Like, I didn't hate it, I didn't love it either. Now, a not romantasy, but it is my favorite series of all time, and it's the Boys of Tommen series by Chloe Walsh. I love the series so much. I don't read just romance books, not really, right? I am trying to get more into it, but I don't read like contemporary romance. Now, this is not a contemporary romance. This is drama. These books are intense. So intense. But yes, I think it deserves the hype. I think I would recommend it to absolutely everyone, only if they can handle these dark themes, right? So it's definitely a book you need to check trigger warnings for. What I love about these books is that Chloe Walsh wrote these characters so extremely realistic. They feel so real to me, and just their emotions and their growth. And I think every part of this book, yes, they're thick books, but I think every sentence and every page is important for these books, because that's why I feel so like connected to these characters, because she writes them out so well that I just feel so much for them, you know? Like, I feel like you really get to know these characters, and you kind of experienced their life and their side of the story. And yeah, no, I think these series are fantastic, and I'm so excited to watch the series. I think the cast is fantastic. I am so excited. But if you've never read Boys of Tommen, it's about these group of characters. The first two is about a boy and a girl, and it's basically about this girl who, you know, she doesn't have a good time at her home and at her old school. So she gets transferred to this private school. This is all based in Ireland, by the way, in like early 2000s. But she gets transferred to this more private school, and she gets to know this rugby guy. And, you know, she has so many things that she's struggling with, so many things, but he as well. And I just think that's what it is with these books. They all have something really intense going on into their lives that they have to deal with, that they have to overcome, or yeah, stuff like that. It's a really heavy book, but it's an amazing group of characters. It is very heartbreaking though, very heartbreaking, but it also heals your heart at the same time. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I definitely think it deserves the hype. And if you were ever doubting to start these series, then this is your sign to start them. And now a book that I am not sure I can be positive about and see why someone likes it. And it's Phantasma. I am not a fan of this book. I actually finished it. And I think this is the first book that when I realized that not every popular romantasy book is gonna be for me, and I should rethink what I do and do not like, right? And I did not like anything about this. I enjoyed like the first 50 pages or so. I was like, oh, this is like fun, you know? I like where the story is going. And then the MMC got introduced and things started happening. And I felt like, see, this book is hard to explain, or like this book is hard to give an opinion about, because I feel like it's hard without spoiling it. yeah, okay. I'm just gonna read to you what it's about, and then maybe from there on I can explain to you why I did not like this book. So it's Welcome to Phantasma. There are only 2 rules to the game: stay alive and don't fall in love. When Ophelia's sister disappears, there's only one way to save her. Ophelia must enter Phantasma, a deadly contest inside a haunted mansion, and claim its prize: one single wish. Phantasma is a maze of twisting corridors and lavish ballrooms, of demons and temptations. Ophelia will face 9 challenges, each one more dangerous than the last, and there can only be one winner. Well, I'm sure you get the vibes of it. So basically she, wants to go and find her sister, but then this MMC comes around. But then this MMC comes in the story, and I feel like she just completely forgot about her sister. I thought the trials were so boring, and the plot twist was very predictable. And yeah, I just didn't like anything about it. I didn't like the writing, I didn't like the pace, I didn't like anything. So I do think it's overhyped. I do think I would never recommend it to anyone. So now I'm trying to think why someone would enjoy it. You know what, everyone has different opinions, right? Everyone has different tastes. This just wasn't for me. It might be for you, but I cannot explain to you why it might be for you. Because, I don't know, maybe you'll just enjoy it. I just didn't. And now The Cruel Prince. This is a very popular book, and this for me is a maybe. I DNF'd the second one, but the world is so much fun. I really enjoyed the world. The reason I didn't like it is I just couldn't connect with the FMC. I felt like there was no character growth really, and I feel like if there's no character development, growth, whatever, I don't feel connected to a person, right? The story was okay for me, right? Nothing that stood out, nothing that wowed me. It was just okay, and that's why I DNF'd it. I am quick to DNF a book, if I'm like a bit like, ugh, I'm not going to waste my time, continue reading it, but I do probably think it deserves the hype. I know a lot of people love it. I know a lot of people love Jude, the FMC. I wish I did. I just did not. And that's okay. I think the reason why someone would like it is the world is really fun. And if you don't mind this FMC, and if you are interested in the story, it is quite political, which I don't mind. I love political books, but this one just didn't hit the way I wanted it to be. So it's a maybe for me. And now the Caraval trilogy. Yes, I think if you want to get into romantasy, this is the perfect way to get into it. I really like them. Now, they're not like 5-star reads for me. I would say like the first one was kind of like a 4.5, and then maybe these like a 3.5. I just think they are easy, fun. That's what they are. I thought personally they were unlike anything else I've ever read. And I liked the characters. I liked the way the characters were written. I liked the story. I thought it was kind of twisty at some points, which I liked. And just, I felt like this story and these books were they kept me hooked all the time, right? I always felt like something was happening, and it's about these 2 sisters and about this game, right, called Caraval. And one of these sisters is really kind of almost obsessed with this Caraval. She really wants to see it one day, but then her dad kind of arranged this marriage for her. So she thinks, her dreams of ever seeing Caraval is over. And the only way to kind of see Caraval is by an invitation. And she actually ended up getting an invitation to Caraval. So both sisters, they go to this Caraval, but then her sister gets whisked away and she disappears because she's kidnapped by the owner of this Caraval named Legend. And basically in this game, in this Caraval, nothing is as it seems, right? You don't know what's real, you don't know what's not real and what's fake. So she wants to go and find her sister, and she kind of teams up with this guy, but it's just so much fun. I really enjoy this world. Then let's talk about Once Upon a Broken Heart. I read only the first one, and I know the second one is apparently amazing, so I'm not going to give like a full-on opinion yet. I just didn't like Once Upon a Broken Heart. I didn't like the story as much. I didn't like the character either. I didn't like the FMC. I don't think her character was as well written as the characters in like Caraval. and I feel really disconnected to the world and the story. And I just think it's because, to me, I like the way Caraval was written. I like the way the characters were written, and the story just felt kind of unique to me. And Once Upon a Broken Heart just didn't hit the same, right? And I had such high expectations for this book, and I'm so sad I didn't like it, but I'm going to continue it, and I really truly hope it will pick up in the second book and that I will start to like this FMC, because I feel like everyone likes her except for me. But that's okay. So I find it hard to say if I think it's worth the hype or not, because I haven't read the other two. So I'm not going to give my full opinion about that book yet. I just didn't like the first one, so we shall see. And now a not romantasy, and it's Beartown. And now Beartown by Fredrik Backman. This is definitely a popular book, and I think it deserves the hype. I thought it was amazingly well written, and the characters and the depth of the story. And even though you might not care for ice hockey, you will care if you read Beartown, because you'll care for these characters. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like, it's not a fantasy book, but I still think as someone who only reads fantasy could still enjoy Beartown, because the characters are so well developed, and it's really just about right and wrong, and you just start to feel a lot for these characters. And there's not like romance in it. It is just contemporary fiction, but it's a good contemporary fiction, and it's an interesting one that does just keep you hooked, and you'll feel so many emotions. At one point you'll feel extremely happy, and then you'll be extremely irritated and frustrated. I love that about books, when you just feel all the emotions. And yeah, I definitely do think it deserves the hype. And it's about this village in Sweden, and it's definitely an ice hockey town. That's kind of what's all that's going for them, because it's dark and cold kind of where they live. And ice hockey is just what keeps this village going, and it's what's making them happy. And then basically this incident happens between a ice hockey player and a person, and it just kind of messes up this village dynamic. And it's really about which side is right and which side is wrong. Who do you believe? Who do you not believe? That's kind of what it's about. And even though there's a lot of ice hockey in there, you will care for it, and you care for these characters. And I think this is your sign to add it to your TBR. And now the Six of Crows duology. I have never read Shadowbones, but I watched the TV show, so it's like, I don't really want to read Shadowbones. I just want to read Six of Crows. So that's what I did. I wasn't confused or anything like that. I feel like the show told me enough that I needed to know. And yes, Six of Crows definitely deserves the hype, and I would recommend it. Writing style though, sometimes wasn't the biggest fan of the writing style. I have to be honest. Sometimes didn't like the jumps from one character to the other one, because there's a lot of POVs going on, which I absolutely loved every single POV. Just the jumps in between sometimes just kind of took me out of the story, and that's the only negative thing I have to say about this duology. And I would recommend it. It has the best found family ever. And it's just, this whole book is kind of, the first one is just about this heist. So, I feel like I would recommend it, because it has amazing found family in it. It has love and romance in it. It has adventure in it. And it has just so many things going on that will definitely keep you hooked. Just maybe the writing style is just not going to be it for you. Just like me, that's why it wouldn't be a 5 stars. But yeah, I definitely do think it deserves the hype. And I wish the show was never cancelled, because I would love to see those characters on the screen. And let's end this video with some thrillers. And those thrillers will be by Freida McFadden. I feel like every person in the book community will have heard of Freida McFadden. And I have so far read 3 books by her. I've read Never Lie, Ward D, and The Perfect Son. The Perfect Son was my favorite by her. I really enjoyed that one, but I enjoyed the other 2 as well. And you know what? I think she deserves the hype. I would recommend these books, especially if you don't really like contemporary romance and you just read a lot of fantasy. And sometimes, I think personally, if I read that much fantasy, it can be overwhelming, right? Starting a new fantasy world every time. I just think Freida McFadden is a perfect in-between. It's a book you would finish in a day, and they are just so addictive. The plot twists are sometimes a bit bizarre and crazy, but they are so addictive. And just fun. They are so much fun. I really want to continue reading more books from her. And yeah, I definitely do think it deserves the hype. Are they the most well thought out thrillers I've ever read? No, but they are just easy books to read in a day. These books were probably the most popular books I've read so far. And yeah, like it's definitely a hit or miss with me sometimes. I feel like now after a year and a half, I've definitely become way more picky about the books I buy and how I rate them. Like my last 5-star read was Riftborn. Love that book, by the way. It's pretty popular as well. So yes, definitely recommend that book as well. Read Riftborn, it's fantastic. Heavier on world building though. It's kind of high fantasy meets romantasy, I would say. But yeah, amazing. I feel like I really kind of know what I like and don't like in books and what I like in characters. And I do feel like because of that, I have enjoyed reading a lot more. I have stopped looking at the books that are popular, and I don't really get like FOMO either of not reading books. I'm not gonna waste my time reading a book that I know that I'm not really gonna enjoy. Like I have so many books and amazing sounding books on my physical TBR that I'm so excited to read. But you know, it's fun when you've kind of figured out what you like in books and what you don't like, and then trying to add books to your TBR is just even more exciting, and I really know what to look for now. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.